Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Between Sessions with Berries. Today's guest is Nicole McCance. She's a former psychologist turned business coach who scaled her private practice to 55 therapists and multiple seven figures, all in just 3 years while raising toddler twins. I do not know how you did this, Nicole. I cannot wait to talk about it. After selling her clinic and retiring from clinical work, Nicole created the McCance method, a step-by-step system that helps therapists grow from solo to super team without burning out. She's here to share how she did it, what most group practice owners get wrong, and what's actually possible when you build systems with support. Nicole, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to talk.
Yeah, me too. I just love Nicole. I've met her a couple times. She's fantastic. So, Nicole, let's just dig into it. Can you take us back to the beginning? What was your vision when you first decided to grow from solo to group practice? Yeah. What was going on then for you? Yeah.
So first I want to share, we're so lucky to do the work that we do. You know, I just feel like we're the luckiest people on the world. We make a difference in people's lives. And my God, doesn't the world need us right now?
Yes.
But we also make a good living. And I did that for 15 years, couples, EMDR all day. But then I had to work a lot to have the life I wanted. And I became frustrated after 15 years of hitting the ceiling in my income and only making money when I was sitting in front of somebody. And then 2016 rolls around and I'm pregnant with twins. And my first thought was, we need a bigger house, 2 cribs, 2 high chairs. How does that even work? And I can't work more. I'm the breadwinner. How the heck am I going to do this? So guess what I did?
What?
Nothing.
I love it.
Because I didn't know the first step. And I feel like people listening might be like, oh my gosh, this has been ping-ponging in my head also.
Yes.
So 2 years, fast forward, Jackson and Lucas are born. They're 2 years old and mommy is still working every single night until 7 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just one like fateful night that I pulled in. I vividly remember I just burst into tears looking up at their chubby little faces waiting for mama to get home because they would go to bed a half an hour later. Like this is not the motherhood that I chose. That fateful day, I turned to Dan, my husband, and I said, okay, I'm going to get a business coach. I'm going to start a group practice. And that's when it all started. Did I know what I was doing back then? No. Part of what I teach is what not to do. But I'll tell you, Kim, what I'm most proud of is that not only did it grow in 3 years to 55 therapists, like you mentioned, but it was systemized. The whole point is I wanted to be home more. And now I give people the map to do the same, to work less and help more people.
I love that so much. I feel like just so many people I talk to that scale this way or make a huge change like this, there's always that fateful moment when it's like, I am broken. Like, I can't do this anymore. Something's got to change. And then it just is a catalyst to that momentum. And then you turn into this huge, amazing machine that can help so many other people too. It's just incredible.
And actually, one little thing that the viewers should know, I did sell it. So what ended up happening, I had no intention to hit 7 figures. I had no intention to sell, right? I'm just a new mom working hard. And so I figured it out. I interviewed all the best business coaches and kind of put it in a package. But what happens is once you create something that is revenue generating and runs without you, guess what happens? Somebody approaches you because they want to buy it, right? They're like, wait, if it's running without you, then we don't need you and we'll just buy it and be revenue generating. So I did sell it in 2022 to a psychiatrist and got the ultimate freedom.
My gosh. I want to talk about that too. I just want to get into all the details because I think that's what people love. It's like, okay, great. How? Tell me how.
Exactly.
I've talked to you before about this, but you basically had to go from this like clinician mindset to a CEO mindset with the going into the group practice and then the McCance method and all that. What was that shift like for you? Because I know myself, right? I'm so used to being solo. I've had to hire a team. I've had to bring employees on. I've had to learn leadership and all that stuff. So I just wonder for you and for people listening, how did you go from that mindset from I'm just this clinician in private practice. Now I'm the CEO of this amazing thing. Like, how did you do that?
Honestly, it wasn't easy. And I want your listeners to know it was also not easy for me. Guess what I learned about myself? I'm a control freak.
Yeah, same.
Right? Total micromanager.
Oh my gosh.
And we kind of should be. We went to school way too long. Our reputation is everything. I had a great reputation in Toronto here. I work with the majority Americans, but I'm in Toronto. And it was hard to let go of that control. which is why I teach only hire your hell yeahs. And I have a whole 6-step hiring model because I hired the wrong people. And I know how painful that is. But for me, it was learning trust. It was learning trust. And I think the only way to learn trust is by taking small steps. Because how can you trust anybody if you don't give them a chance? But I'm a big believer in trust but verify. Like, yes, I trust you, and I'm going to do a QA check.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. I've been in the same boat. You hire somebody, especially people are so good in the interviews. They've got all these promises, they could do all this stuff. And then when you get into it, it's like, oh, this is not as good as I thought it was going to be. And then for me anyway, I'm like a people pleaser in a way. So I want to give them another chance, all this stuff. And so I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit through your whole McCance method, but that is huge, I think, to being successful in this thing, to scale into a group or even to a group that's sellable. You want to have good employees that you can sell to somebody else or, you know, I don't know if sell to somebody else is the right word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So scaling fast, 55 therapists, 3 years, 7 figures, not even planning that. It just happened. It sounds incredible, but what would you say were some of the challenges that came up? We were kind of touching on that already, but do you have some major challenges that you sort of had to overcome through that process of just the scaling?
Sure. I think the same mistake that I see a lot is at first I didn't systemize. Now that's the first step of my 5-step scaling method that we'll talk about.
Okay.
Because what happens is we have therapist brains. So I'm all about the people. I just brought them on and hope for the best and we'll build relationships, right? But without systems, I wasn't a CEO, I was a CQA, Chief Question Answerer. That's what happens when there's no manual, no onboarding process. It is so overwhelming. So that's actually the first thing. Please don't hire first. It's actually systemize first. And I learned the hard way.
We'll talk a little bit later about AI and systemizing and all that too. It's just key. I had to learn, I didn't even know what an SOP was. A standard operating procedure. I had no idea what that was when I decided, I'm going to build all these income streams and start hiring people. It's like, oh, wait, we need the repeatable process that people could actually follow. That would make a lot more sense to make this thing successful. And that kind of leads me to the next question. What is the most common mistakes that you see therapists making? Is it just like, I don't have any processes in place. I've just got this idea. I'm a creative. I'm just going to jump into this. Is that pretty much the first thing you see when you start working with people?
It's interesting. I see a couple of things. So I work with people that are solo and want to do it right. I would say 70% of the people actually are like, you know what, I just want to build this from the beginning right. But I do have people that I work with that are already in a group and usually it's a bit of a mess. They're like, I don't even know where to start. And the two things I notice first is their contracts aren't protecting them enough because they don't know, which is why we have lawyers in our program to support them, or they're paying too much. They're paying too much because here's the thing, you need a group practice that is profitable. And yes, you're going to pay your therapist well, of course, and you're going to give them all the other things, training, potential supervision, office with a window, all referrals, all marketing, all systems, dream job. But that's the first thing that I fix. Or they have 1099s, but they need W-2s. They need them. They just don't know. They just kind of grew and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was even doing this wrong. And I relate. I totally relate.
Yeah. How do you help them see that, the 1099? Because I see that on Facebook all the time. And I think in the U.S., they've even like kind of changed laws around like having to have W-2s in a lot of states. But how do you walk through that transition? Is that like a very complicated process? Or you probably systemized and hired somebody to help you do that, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So we have a coach, an employment lawyer who works with every state in the program. So you can bring, because it's so nuanced and every state is so nuanced and every title is so nuanced, isn't it? It's just complex. Which is why if you're going to work with a business coach, work with a therapist. I made the mistake of not working with one. And half the things they told me to do, I'm like, I'm actually not even allowed to do that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So what you don't want is 1099s and W-2s. The IRS or in Canada, the CRA will say, wait, if they're the same role and they're all therapists, then we're just going to call them all W-2s. So most of the time, employees are the way to go. In Canada, it is different. So there's some nuance there that we walk them all through.
I'm sure. That's amazing. I just love hearing you say over and over, well, I've got an expert for that. I have an expert for that because I know that's another mistake that therapists make. It's like, I'm just going to Google it for like 10 days, maybe use ChatGPT, and I'm just going to figure it out, where you really could save a lot of time just by hiring an expert. And I'm sure you've got just amazing recommendations for people in your program. Okay, so we're talking about your program. It's called the McCance Method. So after living through the scaling process, selling your practice and everything, you decide I'm going to start the McCance method. Can you walk us through? I want to hear about the 5 steps and what makes it different from this trial and error kind of thing that we're talking about, Google and try to implement and all that. Yeah, let's just talk about all 5 steps. That'd be amazing.
There are 5 steps. The actual coaching program is called the Clinic Growth Map because there's a map. There's like a place that you need to go.
Okay.
So I'll go through all 5 steps and then you can ask questions. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
So step 1, systemize. We talked about that. Systemize your operations. And the thing is, people feel safe with systems. They're nervous coming in. They don't know where's the bathroom, where's the Kleenex box. So having systems. Second, this is where you build your team. And I teach people that their first hire should be a mini-me. Hire somebody like you because it's easier to offload your clients. You're the brand when you're solo, and they're expecting, very much like if you go to an Applebee's, that's the only American restaurant I can think of in this moment, in New York and in California, you expect a similar experience.
Yes.
So hire your mini-me. But after that, I teach how to attract clients with digital marketing. I needed marketing that was there for me while I was sleeping and with the kids. But the first thing you need to do before you turn on your Google Ads is brand your website. Because what happens if Google Ads aren't working, and a lot of people are like, well, they're not working. It's because you're sending your leads to a leaky bucket. You just don't know what to put on your website and they're not staying. But there's actually 2 more steps after that, because now that you've attracted this avalanche of prospects, I suggest step 4, you want to convert clients with a consult call via online booking. Like you, I love tech. So allow people to book themselves. Give them that dopamine hit. Use a practice management software that has the online booking feature. And then lastly, the most important, because you don't want a leaky bucket, is then you retain clients with follow-ups. Are you following up with a no-show or that client that ghosted last week? Some people aren't, and they could be increasing their sales and sessions by like 20% by doing that alone.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
It's super comprehensive, but feel free to answer all the questions.
Yeah, no, it's just amazing. So, gosh, okay, so let's start with the hiring the mini-me. I want to talk about that for a second. Because that can be a clash too, like if you're the same personality, but I hear what you're saying. You're the brand. You, as a solo clinician, go into your first clinician, you probably got a wait list. I'm guessing that's probably one of the things that has given you this catalyst. It's like, oh my God, I've got 20 people on this wait list. I could totally give it to a new clinician, but they are expecting you, your personality, your style, maybe even your clinical modality, that kind of thing. So in your interviewing process, you're like, I want somebody that does EMDR just like me, or what do you look for in the mini-me? Like, is it my personality type? Is it my work ethic? Is it my values?
Yeah, it starts with personality and energy. So I'm very high energy. I was on TV quite a bit when I was in solo. So people came, they're like, ooh, I want to see her. I want that energy. But guess what I did? Another big mistake. I was 27 in solo practice. I fell in love and I moved to Russia. Okay. Well, I'll tell you the longer story offline. And I gave 30 clients. I closed my practice for love. I gave 30 clients to the opposite of me. I don't know what I was thinking. She was 20 years older, 20% quieter, more of a quiet person. None of my clients stayed. And every single one of them, I'm pretty sure, went to session and was like, what is happening?
Yeah. Why did she send me to this person?
Yeah. We're the same. We expect continuity and consistency. So I made that mistake. Thank God I moved back with a broken heart 6 months later. But I took all my clients back, which is
You
great.
did? No. They were like, yay, you're back. Thank God.
Yeah. So energy, personality, modality, for sure.
Okay.
You're going to like them. We like people who are like us. So in the interview, you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, we meshed so easy. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, business besties. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. I love it. Okay, so the next step then the marketing and the leaky funnel. And do you hire a copywriter? How do you hone in that messaging and then make sure your funnel's tight to keep that going? And these consult calls, are they going to the mini-me? Are they going to an intake coordinator? Like, how does that process work?
They're going to the therapist. So with the website, you're bringing in the marketing, but don't start any ads until you update your website. I think a couple of tips, easy ones for people, is have happy faces on your website. Because it's interesting. We have therapy brains. I had anxious faces. And my branding person said, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I want them to land on the anxiety page and say, yes, that's what I look like every day. Yeah. And she said, no, but you have to sell aspiration. When you watch the Sandals vacation videos, they don't look haggard like we all look when we go on vacation. They look easy, breezy, beautiful. If you see couples, show two couples. I don't like them Kodak moment looking at the camera, like looking at each other, connected, happy, with their 4-year-old in their arms. Whatever your ideal client wants, have that shine through in your website and they will click book now.
I love that. As you're saying that, I'm like, I have 1,000 therapist websites flashing through my mind, and it's just the crying person, the one with the tissue, sitting looking out the window on a rainy day, like that kind of thing. You're right. It's so depressing.
Yes. And actually, we have a branding messaging expert in our program because we don't know this, right? So she literally spends monthly reconditioning our brand. We just don't know branding. Or empty couches. Please remove the empty couches. Don't we love our empty couches?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because the branding expert says, Nicole, you're showing that nobody comes here. It's empty.
Like we're just waiting because there's no one here.
Exactly. So it's those tweaks, but emotion makes the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that so much. And then the retention is just the systems and the continuity and having a good administrative staff, I would think, that's like super quick to follow up with insurance changes or whatever you're dealing with in the practice.
Yeah, so it is your admin, which is amazing. So that's a big mistake. People wait too long to get an admin. People in my therapists in my program who grow the fastest get an admin early. They grow twice as fast. They offload the overwhelm and delegate to someone else. But yes, have them, the moment they don't book on a consult call them. Maybe they meant to talk to their spouse to get that babysitter and they just forgot. Yeah. But therapists, it's not solicitation. It's just following up and getting someone help faster. They reached out to you. We need to have this mental shift.
So when you say when they don't follow up, are you talking like maybe they submit the contact form on the website, but they never actually complete the next step, I'm guessing, which is like, book with me now for a consult. They just kind of like maybe ask a question or something like that?
So yes. And also, if you have a call, so I'm a big believer in giving them a sample. So have a consult call with your mini-me therapist. If they do not book on that consult call, follow up. Or if they no-show or cancel, follow up. And why I loved having a group practice is when we followed up, they would sometimes say, you know what, it's not a good fit. And I'd say, thank goodness I reached out to you. I have someone that would be perfect for you. But if I didn't follow up, that person may not have gotten therapy or may had to wait on somebody else's wait list.
Now, do you follow up as the CEO, the practice owner? No, you're like,
you're hanging out with your kids. You have more freedom. So it's just the admin. You have tracking sheets. It's completely systemized. She knows when to follow up, how to follow up, and she does it all.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. That's so smart. Now, your admin team, are they full-time in your office? Are they virtual, answering calls, calling people back? It just depends on your structure and what type of situation you have set up.
Yeah, really good question. Because I think a lot of people don't do it because they say, Nicole, I don't have the money to hire someone full-time. Here's the great news. I started with somebody 5 hours a week. That's all I could afford. There's VA companies now that specifically work with therapists, and you can buy really small packages. I actually went the route of hiring a third-year psychology student, like a mini-me in that way, like highly ambitious, wants to go to grad school, has 5 hours to spare, but super bright.
Smart. Oh,
and then you scale their hours as you grow.
Yeah, we'll talk about AI a little bit, but I have a friend that's developing like these AI receptionists that are so good. They're like frontline to the admin. So they're connecting first and then referring to the admin and then so on and so on. And it's just cutting out a lot of hours and kind of weeding people out already on the front line, which I think is so interesting.
So amazing, the world we're living in.
It's amazing. Okay, so you scaled this thing, right? You've got the team in place. You're not really doing much. You're with the kids. You're enjoying your time and all that sort of thing. So somebody might hear that and they're like, well, that's the dream. So when do you decide to sell it? When is the like, okay, I've got all this going, but hey, I want even more freedom, or just what happened? How did you decide that?
Yeah, so just so you know, I was seeing clients because I needed the money. Because I think people are like, okay, well, how do you get the money to pay for the admin, get the money for the better website? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to see the clients so I can live off my own client income. And then anything the business makes that is a separate entity, I feed it back to the business. And then this snowball happened, right? Yeah. So I had a friend, this is an important piece of the puzzle. It was not to a private equity firm. I would have never done that. I was very connected to my team, and private equity firms don't know what they're doing. Like, let's be honest, they're not therapists.
It's like corporate comes in and just corporateizes it, and it's like a machine that nobody likes. Yeah.
So I had a really good friend that sold her clinic in a different town to this psychiatrist. He was buying up quite a few. And so she said to me, he's interested in Toronto. And I said, or she actually goes, I know you would never sell those, so I won't even give you the details. And I said, you're right. 1 year went by and I saw her life change, and I saw him, he was able to give people pensions, trainings, things I could just never do, that I realized wait a minute, maybe I'll ask her for a few more details. But I don't think I would have done it if I had a really good friend that I watched the whole thing happen. So I trusted them through her in a roundabout way. But initially it was not on my radar at all. I'm like, no way. And then my accountant was like, Nicole, this doesn't happen in life. You need to take this. And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
That's amazing. And then at that point, did you decide, I just don't want to do clinical work anymore? Because even me, I've got all this other stuff going on, but I still have 3 clients. Every month, I'm kind of like, do I keep seeing them or not? I go back and forth with this thing because I love that clinician identity a little bit. I love just a little bit of the clinical work still. So I just wonder, how do you make that decision? Maybe I'm going to step out of clinical work.
Yes. So I did probably by the second year after I had the group, no clients at all, but just supervision. I wanted to supervise still just for quality control. And I was still doing something clinical. And then I let go of the supervision. And when you sell, a good selling is when you don't have to stay on. I literally walked away. Do you know what I mean? Because some contracts are like, oh, you need to stay on and do this or that.
Yes, I've heard that for a year, just for continuity. And I
did stay on to help them with the marketing, but nothing clinical. I was a CEO role. I think that's really important to eventually let go of all the roles, because it can be a lot transitioning the hats to really own the CEO role. And then I was with the kids a lot more. And then when I sold, I vividly remember being like, okay, I'll retire now as a psychologist. Officially through my college, I provided all the paperwork and I'm done. I'm not a part of Big Brother anymore. No one's watching, which feels so good.
I know. You're no longer regulated.
Yes. I woke up every day of my life. I was terrified. I was doing something unethical. Of course, I'm a good person. I would never do that. But there's this sense of, oh God, we're so regulated. And then that's when I realized, okay, I guess I'll just do nothing. But it's not my personality. And then I was like, what if I give it to my peers? I have the map. I can give them the contracts, give them my exact manuals, all the things. I took it with me. And then that's when the McCance method was born.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. And how long has the McCance method been around?
Since 2002. So
oh my gosh, really?
We're officially 3 years old.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so shifting just a little bit. So what would you say to a solo therapist who thinks that they want to start a group practice, but they aren't sure if they're cut out for it? How do they evaluate, am I even right for this?
Yeah. I think first just getting a business coach or also interviewing other group practice owners. What I love about our community is we're all in this together. I think it's hard to know if you're going to be a good boss, but remembering that a good therapist is typically a good boss because we're good with people. We're supported by nature, understanding by nature. All the research shows that is a good boss. But I want the person listening to know this. You don't need 55 therapists. I would have passed out if I actually knew that was going to happen. Maybe just start with one. Just one. And at any time, remembering that you have control. You can have 2 and call it a group, or 1 and call it a group. You get to turn down the tap at any time. You're in control, which is my favorite part.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this huge scaling immediately in 3 years, 55 therapists in 3 years.
Exactly, right?
When do you decide? It's okay, I've got a wait list again, so now it's time for another clinician? Or is it well, we're getting all these people for this other modality. Maybe I need to hire a therapist that has this other modality. Is that how it happens? Or is it just kind of organic and you just build as the need comes kind of thing?
There's a system over organic. So I would not wait until you have a wait list. So I teach you want to hire and post your job posting when your therapist is 60 or 70% full. I always say hire slow, fire fast. And so I have a whole 6-step, they have to pass all the steps, which could take of hiring like 6 weeks. So if you already have a wait list, in 6 weeks, you're going to be so overwhelmed. So I would do it when they're 60 to 70% full. And if you know, like, oh, I'm constantly referring out kids, that's probably should be your next hire. Or I don't see couples at all, then you're going to do really well, especially if you're finding that you're referring out, then you just keep them in-house.
Yes. Oh my gosh, genius. Okay, so shifting again, we've kind of alluded to like tech and AI, systemizing, making everything better. So what are you using or how are you using it even in the McCance method stuff or before with or teaching to group practice owners how to use that stuff to make their lives easier? What's working?
So what's been life-changing, and I know you know this, is AI Scribe, basically AI note-taking.
Yes.
My members are freaking out. They're just like, I can be with my kids. I'm not writing my notes. But not only that, because a lot of them are in their CEO role, they will cover the cost for their team. And then that stressor goes away that so-and-so's always behind on their notes. But here's the best part. If you cover the cost, you're going to be more competitive on Indeed because you offer AI note-taking. They're like, oh, that's a pretty sweet deal.
Nice.
But better is that therapist might be able to see one more client because they're not stuck at their desk writing notes. They're making more income and the practice is growing.
Amazing. Yeah, I could not agree more. And then the AI notes then will write your treatment plans and write up some homework assignments for you and all of that. It's just incredible.
Yeah. And with the systemizing, I love. So my favorite thing is because people, and I get this, or they're like, Nicole, I have no time. You had children, you know how it is. I'm in the trenches. How do I systemize? Well, the next time you do something, record yourself doing it using like a Loom. Then take that transcription, put it into ChatGPT, and there is your SOP. My gosh, back in the day, I can now say that, before AI, I didn't have ChatGPT and I had to write it out. So lean on tech. We're so lucky.
Exactly. Yeah. And I actually had the honor of coming into your community and tried to teach some AI tools and that sort of thing, which I loved doing. And people don't realize how much you can actually use AI for. So it's the hiring process, the SOPs like you're talking about, the email automations, just blogging, all of that can just be so much easier, especially if you're running a huge 55-person group practice. That can really make things so much easier.
One little thing that maybe they haven't heard of is I had a member say, oh my gosh, I'm flooded with resumes, Nicole. I don't have the time to read them all. But a lot of them say that they have EMDR and then I waste my time reading and they don't. And I was like, why don't you put all those resumes, this is not private information, and put it in ChatGPT and get them to, like it or he, whatever your gender is for your chatty.
I call it he, but yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I call him Chatty Chad. He's like one of my best friends. My husband knows.
Yes.
Yeah. And she was just like, oh my gosh, she's just saved me like 3 hours of my life.
That's amazing. And, something else, I don't know if I'm sure you recommend this, going over how to use the notes, the note takers and that sort of thing, teaching it. I don't know if you've seen the clinicians worry about this, but sometimes they worry about, especially new clinicians that they're bringing in or even interns, like they worry if they give the note taker that the clinician is going to lose clinical skills or never get the appropriate clinical skills that they're going to get. I don't know if you've seen this problem come up at all. For me, my answer to that is always every time I use AI, it'll like put an intervention in the note or suggest an intervention. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that.
That's amazing.
It expands my repertoire, but I do hear a lot of group practice owners in particular that worry about that. So I just didn't know if you've kind of heard that on the ground level when you're working with all these group practices.
That's not one I've heard. I feel like note taking isn't going to sharpen your skills. I think that supervision, training, all those things. Yeah.
So true.
I did not love my notes. Like, who enjoys that? Nobody.
Oh my gosh. I tell the story all the time. I remember driving from Virginia to Florida to go on vacation. I had so many notes. I had my computer open while I'm driving. It took me 12 hours to catch up on my notes, just driving down to Florida.
Yeah.
So, never going to happen again. Thank goodness. Okay. So just to wrap it up, I'm so excited that you came and thank you for sharing all your wisdom. What is one system you swear by for practice growth? We touched on a couple, but what is the one thing you would really want somebody to take away from here that's just like, that's the thing?
Oh, there's so many. But like I would say regarding your team is an instant messenger. So, and I'm going to say this because a lot of people don't do it. Just email their team. They email and then, or sometimes they'll WhatsApp or sometimes they'll text and then they're scattered, hence, the whole systemizing. I love Google Drive and Google Chat is absolutely free. Every single thing that happens in-house should be in one place. But my favorite thing is you can do polls. So rather than guessing what they want for their summer party, do they want to bring partners? Do a quick poll. And so all invitations to the team meetings, everything happens at once. You're going to feel less scattered.
So smart. That is so smart. And you mentioned business coaching and that sort of thing that kind of helped launch you to where you are today. What is the best leadership advice you think you've ever received from business coaching and your own learning and all of that? What would you say is the best leadership advice that would kind of like help somebody move into that role?
I think that everything trickles down from the leader. It's like us really taking full responsibility. And thank goodness we have our own therapists. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of different beings in that way, I really feel. But yes, that a lot of the times it's actually not your business. It's how you're relating to it. It's how you're being as a leader and showing up. And that's why a large part of my program, yes, I've got the 5 steps, very tactical, but it's also mindset. I will say I grew more as a human being in group practice and becoming a mom, of course, than anything else. It's a whole new thing. And thank gosh, I had a whole lot of therapy to help me through because you stretch yourself. Like I'm a leader. How do I guide all these people? I've never done this before. So it was so key being with a community who were also doing it because my friends weren't. These aren't conversations I'm having with them.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And the last question is your favorite tool or platform for hiring great clinicians. Do you have like a go-to where you find these people?
It's Indeed all day. It is not LinkedIn. The monopoly is Indeed. I would first post the job, but have your job be a love letter. There's so many similarities between dating and hiring. They're scrolling. They're reading all the job postings. Have yours stand out. Yours is a love letter. And what that means is at the top, the very first thing I read, you're going to be telling me what's in it for me. Like hook me in. Are you close to the subway line? Do I get free parking in the back or office with a window? But Indeed for sure. I found every single one of my people on there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I never would have thought of Indeed. Yeah. I definitely would have gone right to LinkedIn. Yeah. That's so smart. Thank you so much for being here. So how do people find you and work with you if they would like to?
Yes, I have a podcast. If they are podcast people, The Business Savvy Therapist. We release it once a week. And I also have a free training. If you want to come hang out with me, I'll answer your questions live every single week. It's how to build a 7-figure group practice. I'll give you both links.
I would love that. Yep. We'll put it in the show notes for everybody listening. Nicole, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you.